Hello everybody and welcome to another deck profile of a deck that I previously profiled, I think 2 times by now, and this time I am profiling it once more for the February ban list after the Pendulum Magician, defeated YCS and Slaughter, Atlanta, and just, profiling the deck for you guys. This is a pretty cheap, unique deck that you can build. Obviously, you can increase the ceiling of the deck by working on things like the extra deck, and as well as the monsters, and then how you play the deck. So yeah, before I jump into the video, 2 things. First thing, I apologize for the previous video not being as good quality, like video wise, because I think I was recording with the wrong settings from something else I was doing, recording melee Smash Bros melee clips. But yeah, and then the second thing is, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, because it shows me that you like what I'm doing, which is mostly just YouTube deck profiles with explanations and stuff, so that way you can just, even if you're not necessarily watching, you can always just keep this as background, sort of like a podcast type thing, background noise. Anyway, onto the deck profile. We are playing double Symphonic Warrior Mics, double Amano Iwaro, double Shinobird Crane, triple Manju of the 10,000 Hands, triple Aratama, triple Nikitama, triple Symphonic Warrior Guitar, triple Shinobaron Peacock, double Shirobaroness Peacock, triple Seravis the Ancient and Ascended, triple Pre-Preparation of Rites, double Trade-In, triple Preparation of Rites, 1 Sprite's Blessing, triple Shinobird Calling, triple Scapegoat, double Shinobird Power Spot, and 1 Urgent Ritual R. So that about concludes the main deck. No traps. This is a very, well, other than Urgent Ritual R, but this is a very aggressive goal second try to OTK deck. Now there's essentially 4 builds of the deck. You have the Wind Witches, which mostly synergize off the Wind type and the fact that this deck doesn't need the extra deck, so it uses the Wind Witch engine to make a Crystal Link for free. You have the Kaiju variant of the deck, which utilizes Kaiju, so you can Kaiju your opponent and then like use the effective Shinobird Baron to bring the Kaiju back to your hand, so you can constantly Kaiju your opponent's monsters, and then just keep dealing lots of damage. And then there's 2 variations of the same build, which is the Brilliant Fusion slash extra summon sort of build. If you have Brilliant Fusions, I don't disregard that build. I like the Brilliant Fusion. I think it's a phenomenal build, but it puts more spells into your deck. While if you're playing the Symphonic Warrior, it actually gives you monsters that you can use. So, Strafnight is a pretty good boss, not boss monster, but it's a pretty good. The whole Brilliant Fusion engine is really good, but I personally prefer the Symphonic Warriors just because they populate the field a little bit more and help me push for more damage. So yeah. The extra deck is pretty self-explanatory. You dedicate like a good portion of the deck to links because you are playing triple Scapegoat, which is your only defensive card along with Urgent Ritual Art. So on the extra deck, you're playing double Link Spider, 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Mrs. Radiant, 1 Triple Burst Dragon, 1 Borrowload, 1 Dweller, 1 Wolf, 1 Castell, 1 Baguska Tornado, Care Gorgon, Utopia Package, and a Gimmick Puppet of Strings. Going very quickly over the side deck. These 2 cards, the Link Spiders, you use them off the Scapegoat because you can go Link Spider into Link Spider. The Underclock Taker is just a really good generic link to Mrs. Radiant, again using with Scapegoat. Triple Burst Dragon, a very powerful Link 3 monster, especially in playing against like back row heavy decks, because if your opponent would flip a Mirror Force, you can negate it with this, and also it floats into Underclock Taker, so you can tag him out essentially for Underclock Taker, which is a pretty nice. The Dragon effect is pretty okay, but we're not really playing any Link or Dragon monsters in the deck. And then Borrowload, just that's why you play the Scapegoats, because it just brings out a Borrowload, which is a pretty good boss monster on its own. And then the rest of the extra deck is just utility. Dweller to stop graveyard decks. Wolf synergizes pretty well with the Shinobirds because you can utilize the tokens that the Baron and the Baroness leave for Direwolf, Castell to just snipe things, Baguska in case you don't have a strong opening or you're forced to go first. If you go Baguska, Scapegoat, it's a pretty good turn, I would say, but usually when I go blind second. Tornado Dragon to do with back row, Gorgon to protect things like your Amano Iwaro. So for example, you can have a Gorgon and an Amano Iwaro, which is pretty good because your opponent can't activate monster effects, and if your opponent would like target it with something, you can change the targeting to with Gorgon, and then Utopia Lightning to just remove things that our Baron would not be able to. And then I'm also playing the Gimmick Puppet, sort of like as a gimmicky card, which is pretty decent. So like you can attach this and place counters on everything, and then during your opponent's next end phase, anything with a counter, they take 500 damage. So it basically forces them to change their current field. Like they would have to like link Xyz or whatever. So if they have like a really good board, basically makes it so that if they don't kill you, they kill themselves, essentially. But this can easily be any other rank 8, because the only reason I'm even playing the rank 8 is just because, let's say that you make a Baron and a Baroness end turn, and you still haven't killed your opponent. Well, these are going to bounce back to your hand. So the best way to prevent that is to just make a rank 8 and be a little bit more proactive with, especially like in the very long grind game, you kind of want to keep something on the field, which is something that this deck has a little bit of trouble if you don't open up well. So yeah. Now onto the deck explanation. So I'm playing the Symphonic Warrior engine just because it's a cheaper alternative to Brilliant Fusion, because if you can't afford Brilliant Fusion, this is a pretty good, essentially this plus, so basically you only need guitar, and you place guitar in the pendulum effect, discard one card, and then you can bring out a Symphonic Warrior Mics. Also, when guitar is normal summon, you can target a Symphonic in your graveyard and special summon it. So if your Mics gets solemned, you can bring it back with Symphonic Warrior Guitar. So pretty good. And then this, whenever it's normal or special summon, you get an additional normal summon, which is really good with the spirits, because things like Nikitama, Shinobird Crane, Manjus all want to be normal summoned, even Aratama. So having that extra normal summon will give you plenty of resources back to your hand. So usually the way you want to set up this engine is like have any other spirit monster on the field, summon it, and then you can like discard the Nikitama, send it to the grave, and then you get the +1 effect of Nikitama where you draw. So it's a pretty good. The other thing I wanted to do in this deck was to play Preparation of Rites. Now it's a little bit controversial because your Shino Baron and Shino Baroness are level 7s, right? Level 8s even. So if they were level 7, Preparation of Rites would be so crazy in this deck. Adding you any of them and any ritual from the graveyard would be pretty perfect in my opinion, right? But because they are level 8, they are a little bit less good. However, I did find this hot tech called Seravis, the Ancient and Ascendant. I don't know how much this card was played, but this card is really good because it's essentially a hand trap. It's a searchable ritual hand trap. So what it does is, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a monster you control, you can discard this card and negate the activation. So basically, it's sort of like an effect veil in a way. It's basically protection, like it's a hand trap for protection. But also it has a Kirin effect, and that's really interesting. So during either player's turn, when your opponent would special summon monsters, you can return this card from the field to the hand. They get a special summon, and if you do, banish that monsters. So basically it bounces back to your hand, so you can and then you banish the opponent's card. So it's really good, putting your opponent at a big disadvantage, which is why I'm running the One Sprite's Blessing in case I come across if I draw it or something and I want to actually summon out Seravis, at least I'm able to do so. So this isn't just the dead card. Also, it can act as tribute fodder, going second if you don't need it. Yeah, it can act as tribute fodder. But basically I wanted to make Preparation of Rites useful in the deck, because the problem with the Shinobirds is that they bounce back to the hand, the monsters, right? But the spells go to the graveyard. Now the problem with that is that, yes, you get the monsters, but you only have 3 spells for your monsters. So you have to like choose which ones you're gonna summon. But if you can get access to the spell card and bring the spell card back from the graveyard, like multiple preparations of rites is actually not bad. Opening up a few copies of this card, as long as you have the one SHINOBIRD calling, it's pretty good. Scapegoat, I think I already covered it. It's just good for the link stuff, which also gives your deck a bit of defense, because your Shino Barons, when they leave the field, they leave the tokens, but the tokens by themselves don't do anything unless your opponent doesn't kill them, which you can then link them. But with things like Scapegoat, if they beat over your tokens, you can summon more tokens, and then with these tokens you can make links. Even just end phase Scapegoat is pretty good. Playing double power spot because the attack boost is pretty nice for spirit monsters. It's pretty good, but also the effect when something bounces back to your hand because they are spirit, you get to search something, can be pretty useful, but not all the time. So you want to see this card sometimes, but not all the times. Same thing with trade-in. Something that I come across with trade-in is that sometimes I will trade in like my one, like if I have like only one copy of Baron or Baroness, I'll sometimes just trade it in just to draw into something else, which can often be things like the preparation of rites or the pre-prep. And that's pretty solid in my opinion, especially if you're trying to pre-prep. So very, very solid there. Yeah, so the main idea of the deck, like let's say your ideal opening would be to say, for example, have Baroness, because Baroness is actually like really strong, because you can special summon out Amado no Iwado. So solid stuff there. Or you can, if you're going second, ideally you want to have a way to access Peacock, Shinobaron, like Shinobaron plus Mike's, Nikitama, Aratama, maybe the Crane, maybe the Manju, and like a few spell cards. Sort of like you want to get this mixed hand that can basically get you, you don't get stopped by one play. That's the main idea here, is to not get stopped by a single play, because that's what hurts a lot of decks. The other problem with this deck is because Pendulum Magicians are the best deck, people will like probably main deck or side deck Dimensional Barrier, and Dimensional Barrier is just a really like, it's a card that hurts more decks than it was intended to, because that card is technically meant to like stop things like Pendulums. Is one of the better anti-pendulum cards, but the fact that your opponent can call rituals like completely shuts off your deck. And an OTK sort of like OTK centric deck like SHINOBIRDs, you really can't afford to just like lose one turn where you can't even like bring out your tokens. So what ends up happening is you just have these like weak vanilla monsters, like unless you link them up or something, you're gonna have a really hard time. So you have to be really careful on how you go about making your plays. I think that about covers everything I had to say about the deck. I tried to keep the deck a little bit consistent. I'm playing a few 2-ofs, just because those cards like sort of dictate more or less what the rest of your hand is gonna play. So it really depends. Like if you open up one of the 2-ofs, you have to sort of like make plays. You have to make those plays accordingly. So if you open Crane, you sort of want to like get the Crane effect to draw a card, because pretty much any card you draw in this deck is really good. Oh, and the final thing is the Urgent Ritual Art. This card is the only card that I would keep it as a one-off, just because multiple copies of this card hurts the deck. But the times that you see it, it wins you games, because if you Ritual Summon on your opponent's turn, so if you have like a SHINOBIRD calling in the grave, but you don't have a way to gain access to it again through preparation of rites, this can often win you games because it'll disrupt your opponent on their turn so pretty good. And then you also get the tokens at the end, which you can use. So yeah, that concludes the deck profile. If you guys did enjoy this video, once more, I invite you to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.